Tēnā tātou katoa, kia ora fight fans, and welcome to our post-event recap for Barbwire Fight Club 102. I'm here with James Batman Langton, head coach and owner of Barbwire Boxing. My name is Trent Kiri. Without further ado, James, let's have a kōrero, bro? So, first and foremost, how do you think the event went?
Overall, the event was very successful. We sold out the event, but most importantly, we had real big numbers online. So I'd like to make an announcement that we actually had over 1,000 views online. That's up about 800 on our rehearsal one that we had at the end of last year. So thank you for everyone that come online and watched it. So that was great.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Wow. What was your favourite fight of the night?
Has to be Bobby's one. It was just a real aggressive fight. You know, both guys come to fight. Will, he probably had been a little bit older, probably showed a little bit more experience. But overall, yeah, Will and Bobby, absolutely fantastic fight, and that's why they got given the fight of the night.
I gotta say, personally, myself, Leilani and Sarah was actually my favourite fight. As much of, if it wasn't for Bobby and Will's going to war, I think Sarah and Lani actually had fight of the night locked up to a certain point. It was much more of a technical showcase. It was really nice to see boxing, counterboxing,
Exactly.
pretty much everything that we did discuss that was going to happen ended up happening, and that's always cool when those predictions end up coming true.
I think in that fight it was both fighters really dug deep, went deep waters, and they both wanted to win it so bad.
Yeah.
And it came down to just who wanted to win it the most, and maybe Leilani just had that little bit more combinations there right at the end. She just threw a beautiful combination. Maybe that was just enough to give her that win. But both fighters, man, I've got to take my head off to Sarah. She dug deep. Leilani dug deep. And I know that's one fight that could have gone either way. So congratulations to both fighters. Fantastic.
100%. Congratulations to Leilani for that fight, and also congratulations to Sarah. She had an upcoming boxing fight. I think it was 2 weeks after that one that we had here. So that was pretty awesome for her to train and, you know, commit to 2 fights, and, you know, you might walk out of the first one second place. But
well, I think we should say a big thank you to Olympus Gym.
Totally.
Who did put on 3 fighters on that night, and they all backed it up with fights 2 weeks later.
Yep.
What's a bit risky, but you know that's the kind of gym they are.
Yeah.
So your hats off to Olympus and the fighters.
100%, and also a big shout out to our gym from Wellington that came up and provided Renee and Zoe for the fight. They were awesome. Caught up with a family member over in the East Coast, and all the way over in Gisborne, they were talking about Barbwire Fight Club. Without further ado, let's get into a little bit of breakdown of our online fan votes and everything. So the first fight of the night, we had Sandra Gargan going against Renee Wiki-Lee. Renee won not only on the judges' scorecard, but also in the fan voting, 86% to 14. What can we say about this? I don't know if it was the heat of the moment. It could have been any number of things. But as we say, you know, you can prepare, and I don't know, it seemed on the night that Sandra got in and she just maybe had a bit of a lead foot on her. It was really out of character to see her like that.
Yeah, I was. You got to remember, Sandra she probably walked into the Barbwire boxing gym about this time last year.
Yeah.
And since then, she's had 4 fights. So I think she may have been a little bit fatigued.
Yeah.
4 fights is a lot of fights when you're just getting started. Maybe that's because she wasn't her usual self. She didn't have a great fight, and she'd be one of the first to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
She said she just couldn't get her feet moving. What's a really good sign of, you know, I've fatigued and I've been a busy season. So I think that's where Sandra may got it wrong. But overall, she held in there. She saw the end of the fight out.
Yeah.
So well done.
Yeah, 100%. Nothing need to be taken away from her.
I think the online voting got it bang on. I think the online votes got that bang on, and of course so did the judges.
Yeah, totally. Just quickly on Renee, think on the night it was really good to see her like starting off the event, setting the tone as a bloody southpaw. It was southpaw central that night, man. I actually think majority of the fights were southpaws, and so I was like, oh goodness. But yeah, setting the tone. She was in. She was quick. She was getting up and under. Sandra threw a few really solid combinations. I saw her throw some really good punches.
She landed some good punches.
Yeah, definitely. And hey, not every time the cookie crumbles for the fighter that goes in there with the most heart. Sometimes it is just the one that was the better fighter on the night, and nothing need to be taken away from either. Our next fight on the card, we had Waisea Batisaresare, the Fijian Thunder, as he likes to be called, and James Arce. I believe it was second round technical knockout.
Third round, yep.
Third round TKO, and judges, fans also voted 85-15 in favour of James. A lot of opportune moments that Wise had there. James was a very solid boxer. You could see right from the get-go, another bloody southpaw. Got in there, started landing shots early. Wise, he took a lot of his opportunities, and on the night, Terry and I were both discussing that he was throwing punches without a little bit of setup. And obviously, the more setup you have later in those fights, those things can really pay off. But he did a really, really good job. He fought to his game plan, I feel. And obviously, just a couple of really good body shots. When you get those landed on you over and over again, it gets hard to breathe. And sometimes, the ref just calls it before you're ready to go.
Yeah, great fight. Both fighters had their moments.
Yeah.
Both fighters were at stages where I thought, okay, if one guy just lands a clean punch, the other guy's going to drop.
Yeah.
To Wise's defence, he did crack a rib in the very first round, and he had this big bloody rib that was popping out. That happened quite early on in the fight. But he managed to get through. So he showed a lot of courage and heart. So good on him for pushing on. But overall, James deserved that fight, and I think the voters showed they got it right as well.
I'd like to say it was actually a very exciting fight to kick off our male division. That was really, really cool to see them. Two long, strong brawlers, and that's what we said was going to happen, and what happened. So that was cool. That was our first finish of the night, so that was pretty cool. Third fight, Leilani versus Sarah. The fans voted in 56% to Leilani and 44% to Sarah. We briefly discussed it before, but would like to elaborate. Leilani in that ring, cool, calm, composed. She was in her element, man. You could tell that she was in there and she was very comfortable. She was moving well. She was just had everything going for her. She had her head moving. She was winning the foot game. Sarah was a very aggressive fighter too. She was looking to engage constantly. I believe somewhere in the second round when I spoke with her, she said that she did have an injury to the body. It might have been a cracked rib or something along those lines. So she was finding it hard to breathe. But sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. And Leilani went out there and she did a really good job. Both fighters saw to the end and was actually, definitely a strong contender for fight of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. Had to be one of the crowd's favourite fights.
Yeah.
What can you say when you see a great fight like that? You just got to take your hat off to both fighters. Both fighters dug deep, wanted to go deep waters. Leilani just come through right at the end. Maybe Leilani done a little bit more pushing herself with the voters, and good on her. When you got money on the line, you got to get out there and push yourself amongst social media. I know she was out there pushing herself on social media. Maybe that helped her get through with the voting, and good on her for doing that. But overall, boxing won it on the night. Great fight.
Yeah, definitely. The Sweet Science was the victor of the night. It was really good at this point. We had seen a lot of parity halfway through the night. We had seen a lot of parity that what the fans were seeing, what the viewers were seeing, and also what the judges were seeing were matching up. So that
Absolutely.
was really good.
Yep.
And then we moved into one that was personally, it was my favourite because we got to see the system work, how it was visioned to work, was Stephanie Rose versus Zoe Bewley. The fans voted 52% for Stephanie to 48 for Zoe, but Zoe actually took the judge's decision. So both fighters walked out as winners, which was really cool. Got to interview both of them. The fight itself was, it felt like it was like a standoff, which was quite cool. You could feel the tension building between the two of them. Stephanie being the southpaw stepping in. That was really interesting. You could see that Zoe was baiting with a lot of heave movement, and Stephanie, she was closing the gap, and, she trained a lot with Sam Rapira, and obviously being the PT that she is, she had the cardio to go the distance. We didn't know what to expect from Zoe. And it was a good showcase of two maybe similar styles clashing, and unfortunately we didn't see a finish with them, but they got all the way through and made it to the end, and it was really cool that we got to see the system work, like how it was meant to be working.
Yeah, look, I thought the judges got this wrong. I thought the voters online got it right. Stephanie, I thought was really aggressive. She pushed the fight, but this is what this whole system's about. Judges, viewers, who got it right. I thought the online vote was right, but the judges thought Zoe done enough to get across the line. Both fighters, when it's that kind of situation, both fighters get split the prize money. So congratulations to both fighters. Terrific fight. When it's that close, it was a great matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Now we brush into our official fight of the night, which was Finefeuiaki Wills Moala versus Bobby Katene. Third round TKO, stoppage by the referee, sorry. And the fans voted 77 to Wills, 23 to Bobby. I mean, like we said earlier in our brief intro, Wills went in there as the more experienced, the older, in some small way, the larger fighter. Also being southpaw, all night we saw that it was tricky to fight the southpaws because in your sparring, you're constantly, when you're fighting orthodox fighters, you're constantly, moving away from the lead hand, moving away to the right. On the night, at some point, would you agree that the muscle memory is sort of ingrained where it's like, okay, sweet, and then on the night you fight a southpaw, they clock you with the left and you're like, oh, I've got to go the other way.
Yeah, look, as a coach and as a club, we probably didn't get Bobby enough southpaw sparring, and it's really hard if you don't have that consistent southpaw sparring. Then you jump in with a southpaw and everything's back to front, inside out. But overall, I thought Bobby definitely won that first round. Wills come back, won the second round, and it just happened to be that one punch where Bobby overextended with the right hand, and that was a turn on that fight. And that's boxing, one mistake, she's lights out. So that was it. Bobby just overextended with the right hand. Wills come back with a nice combo, and that was pretty much the fight. Yep, he's definitely learned from being from the coaching at Barbwire, and learns from Bobby. We've got to do more sparring with southpaws when you're up against a southpaw fighter.
Yeah, definitely. For this fight, just right out the gate, aggression, big blows.
Yes.
It was really cool to see. This is what we had said was going to happen, was these two were going to brawl, they were going to bang, and they did that exactly. Very, very even exchanges, from what I can remember of the night. Very even exchanges between the two. Probably a little bit more aggression shown on Bobby's part, which was really good. He was always willing to engage, moving the head, always looking for that opportune moment. But these things happen. There was the slight incident, you'd call it, that would happen. Bobby lost his mouth guard. Will sort of came in and didn't hear the ref, and there was a little bit of a thing, but it was nothing. Really, it was nothing, because the two of them shook hands at the end of the day, and boxing won.
Yeah,
as you say.
These kind of things happen in boxing when a fighter doesn't quite hear the bell, or doesn't quite feel the ref pull him back, and throws that one punch that the other boxer felt was a little bit late. But overall, the hug at the end of the fight, and let's just get on with it, and no drama's done.
100%. Well-deserved fight of the night, winner on that night, man. And our last fight of the night was Liam Kupe versus Matt Galloway. 93% voted for Liam, 7% voted for Matt.
Yeah, look, you've got to take your hat off to anyone that gets in the ring. Drove down from Hamilton, come down to a community in town he's never been to before, jumped into a ring with a guy he's never didn't know nothing about. Good on you, Matt, for doing that. Liam's on a 3-fight winning streak. He trains well. He's done a lot of preparation. He does a lot of sparring. He was ready for this fight, and it was just a matter of a guy that is just 100% committed to the fight game, compared to Matt that wasn't as ready, and it showed in that fight. But good old Liam, and let the winning streak continue. Onwards and upwards for Liam.
All right, and that concludes our post-event recap of Barbwire Fight Club 102. Thank you all so much for joining us. My name's Trent Kiri. Here we have James Batman Langton. We're looking forward to seeing you at the next Barbwire Fight Club event, New Zealand's premier boxing challenge, where you, the viewer, have a say in the action. Until then, gloves up.